Hey guys, welcome to my comic book slash review show where I just talk about comics and the industry as a whole. Today I wanted to talk about DC Universe Rebirth, the comic book that relaunched DC Comic Books entire lineup of comics, from Superman, Batman, Flash, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Aquaman, all those guys. Now, this relaunch takes place right after an event called the Dark Side War from Justice League's last arc, essentially, written by Geoff Johns, and this is also written by Geoff Johns. Now, this book is very cool, to me especially, and to a lot of DC fans, I can tell you that, simply because it really recaptures that entire feeling of legacy and love and just all-round respect for the characters that DC Comics has had for at least 75 years, especially Superman and Batman. What I loved about this is that there's so much passion went into this, and Geoff Johns is known for that. He's known for taking a long-lost character or a long-lost group of characters that nobody really cared about and just thrusting them forward and, showing you how important and how much people actually care for these characters in the long run. I mean, the fans of DC, although they are not as, frequent or as boisterous as Marvel fanboys, the fans of DC Comics, they know what they get out of their comics. They know that Superman is Superman and Batman is Batman. They don't need gimmicky stuff usually for these characters to live and to breathe and to capture their imaginations. Superman's always been the Boy Scout and he will always be the Boy Scout. That's just how he is. Batman will always be this dark brooding guy, and he's always going to be that dark brooding guy. Now, in this comic especially, they did do a few things to change around the concepts of what DC Comics is about, essentially throwing a wrench into the works, as it were. Especially with throwing in the Watchmen, for instance. Now, this scene is, one of those iconic scenes from the Watchmen book, where you see Dr. Manhattan playing with a watch and tinkering with it, and especially with this 9-panel layout that you have here. That is also an iconic thing from Watchmen. Most of the panels in Watchmen were done like this, where the characters would move from panel to panel, talking about bullshit and the overall politics of the times, really. What they're going to do, their emotional states, Now this comic starts like this, basically narrating from you don't know who the narrator is at the moment. You see Batman in his cave like usual, seeing the death of Superman happen that happened in an event before, and him also seeing that there's 3 Jokers, which you also learned in the end of the Dark Side War, that there's actually 3 Jokers, not just one. Apparently, that's still up for debate. That hasn't been discussed yet, as of yet. And then all of a sudden, there's this explosion from this lightning, and Batman is coming up, and he sees Wally West. Wally West is an old school character who was the replacement for Barry Allen when Barry Allen died in the the Crisis of Infinite Earths. Barry Allen died saving the universe, or the multiverse really, and Wally West took over. He said, my mentor died, one of my best friends died, and I'm going to take over for him. And he does. Kid Flash becomes the Flash. Now, the reason he's here is that he's trying to get Bruce, Batman, to try and remember him so that he can exist in this universe. And obviously Batman doesn't. And this just lends credence to the idea that basically the legacy and the love in the DC universe has gone missing. That is also a big complaint about the New 52, is that there wasn't a lot of legacy and there wasn't a lot of love in lightheartedness in the DC universe anymore. It was very dark and somber, and it's always been very serious in the DC in the New 52. Now, this is basically the editors and the writers at DC Comics admitting to this and saying, yeah, we know that everything hasn't been very sunshine and rainbows for a long time, and we apologize for that. And now in the next few pages you see Wally West retelling his origin from his point of view, what he remembers, and he's basically talking about the fact that stuff has been stolen from him. And you see this hand, time has been stolen from them, love and legacy has been stolen from them, and that is basically what this first chapter is about loss, about the loss of the heart and the legacy of the entire DC universe. In the next few pages, you see Wally West reaching out to characters throughout the DC universe. You know, characters like Johnny Thunder over here from the JSA, Saturn Girl from the Legion of Superheroes, Ryan Choi, the replacement Atom for Ray Palmer, and it goes on and on. Him jumping around the DC universe, seeing all this legacy being revived that didn't exist prior to the DC Universe Rebirth comic. You see Dr. Fate, who's not really been Dr. Fate for a long time. You see Damian Wayne having his 13th birthday. You see Jessica Cruz, a new Green Lantern, talking to Hal Jordan, new Aqualad, and so on and so on. And then you see another character called Pandora, who admits that she knew, she witnessed this guy taking time away from these characters and destroying the DC universe. And she said he can kill her, but he will never be able to kill the entire DC universe. And then she dies. Talks about legacy. That's the end of the chapter. And the next chapter is basically Wally West still going on his journey, trying to get people to remember him, seeing a poignant scene of basically Superman's death at the end of the New 52 universe, witnessing different characters falling in love, and him reminiscing about his own lost love. And you get Superman from the previous universe with Lois Lane and their son John, him seeing characters that he has never seen before, and they're like coming from the shadows trying to say, you are not who you seem to be. And Wally West sees this. He sees Aquaman and Mera being getting married, or hopefully so. And then he comes to his wife Linda, or she was his wife. He sees her and he hopes strongly that she is his lightning rod. And he reaches out for her, but she just does not seem to remember him, and that shatters his faith, and that just leaves him more lost than he was before. In the next few scenes, you see glimpses into the future, some hopeful, some sad, some strange. And you see Wally West reaching out to even the people he hates and despises, and the closest friends he has. He reaches out to them, hoping that they can be his lightning rod and bring him back to reality. And for every person he goes to, he sees he can't come back. And he sees some hopeful things, like the current Wally West, who's a black guy now, who was a replacement for him, but he's from a different group of the family that he's from. And he sees that there is still some hope for this universe. And even if he does not exist in it, maybe it will be okay. He sees Barry, his mentor, he's one of his best friends, helping people, sharing pizza with them. And after Barry saves all these people and feeds them, he runs off to the next big thing that he needs to do. And Wally chases after him and confronts him and just has this amazing conversation with him, talking about how he understands that he won't be able to remember him, and all he wanted to do was just say he's very happy for all the times he's been there for him, his friendship, and for an amazing life. And just when Wally is about to vanish, Barry remembers him and grabs him and pulls him into reality. And he remembers his name, and he's so sorry for forgetting him. He's so sorry, and then they embrace. It's one of the most poignant and beautiful scenes in comics in recent history, especially for DC. This is very important for them to get this scene right, and I think Geoff Johns pulls it off beautifully. And they talk about how this force that pulled him out of reality, and because Wally West was instrumental into being such a great friend and such a big part of a lot of heroes' lives, that him not being there is such a detriment to their lives. And Wally's like, we need to discuss this. We need to find out what the hell is happening. And then we cut to Batman in his cave, looking at everything that it's intact after that explosion when Wally West blew into his cave. And we go back to the 9-panel layout to illustrate, we're gonna get something cool, and then we get the comedian's button from the Watchmen, and then we get the epilogue, and all this time you're like thinking, what, the Watchmen? And then you see the watch, and you see the doomsday clock, and then it's like, damn, Watchmen. Now, to me, this is an amazing comic book on so many levels, and it is so ambitious, because they were basically saying the Watchmen are coming, and the Watchmen are responsible for all the crap that has been going on in the DC universe for this entire New 52 run. And DC Universe Rebirth is basically saying all the legacy and all the heart and hope of the DC Universe is coming back, and it's basically saying that not this year, not next year, but in a few years there will be an event where the Watchmen and the DC Universe finally meet, and we don't know what's going to happen yet. That's still a long way off. There's still a lot to cover before we get to that shit. But anyway, I'm just saying that this comic really got me back into DC Comics. I haven't been buying it for a long time. I've mainly stuck to my favorite comics, a few, 3 or 4 that I usually get. But this comic is actually still available, not in its current form. It used to be $2.99, but there is a square-bound comic that you can still get. I think it's $7.99, and there's a hardcover book that's like $12.99. They roughly translate to about like 120 to 200 rand, type of comic that you want to get. Now, in my opinion, this is a must-get for any DC fan. If you really love these characters, you'll do them justice and support this kind of comic book and this kind of writing, because it is stellar and it is deserving of your praise. Now, that's all I needed to say about this comic. Yes, there is some jankiness in the artwork, but the first 3 artists I really do like. It's Gary Frank, Ethan Van Sciver, and Ivan Reis. Philly Menez, you could see his art was a bit rushed, but that's fine. If it's 80 pages for $2.99 when I got it, it was fucking worth it. But yes, if you really want to get into DC Comics at the moment, it's been a year since this came out, but this is a good place to start if you really want to get back into, if you want to feel what a lot of fans have waited for so long. This is what you get. Alright, thanks guys. Please leave a like if you like this video, and yeah, join me next time. It won't be very long, I can show you that. Thank you. Bye.